In a few days, I'll be leaving from my cabin, which was my home for the last few months, and it really is my favorite home where I lived so far. It's absolutely a beautiful place. So today I finally decided to create a little tour, but first let me show you the view. Oh yes, forest and the ocean. So, are you ready to dive into the cabin? Let's go. This is my compost bin. The cabin is well, it's not off grid. I have electricity here connected from another building, but I don't have water inside. It's just this. It's one room, 3 by 3 meters. It's not so big, as you can see. And I've been living here for a few months. It's all made of wood, so I've been customizing it to fit my personal preferences. So let me show you few different sections that the cabin has. So first is kind of my display slash altar with some of important things. I keep all my journals here, some books that are important to me. Have my moon calendar that I can just move this little sign depending on the position of the moon. Lots of other kind of meaningful things for me. Here is my workstation. So my laptop, some kind of papers and stationery supplies, a little shelf with some books, some inspiring images that are also meaningful to me, storage for like things like receipts for my business, and some other cards. I really like working with index cards. I have quite a lot of these, and I create workshops with them, I create articles with them, I use them for many purposes. Now I actually got these little cards for that purposes. Before I used to cut them myself. Here's my bookshelf. I'm quite proud is maybe not the right word, but I really love the books that are on my shelf. And recently I've been just kind of grabbing books at random whenever I feel like, and just reading snippets of it rather than reading the whole book at once. The table beneath the table, I have my clothes, so all my clothes fit there. It's usually a little bit of a mess. I sometimes organize it, but then I notice that it actually defaults to just this. But since I don't have so many clothes, it's actually very easy to find what I need. And here is my duvets and blankets. And then if I want to sleep, I basically put this like here, and that's my bed. And then I have my blankets over here. So it's very straightforward. I always liked sleeping on the floor, so this is actually quite comfortable. And the cabin here is covered with floor mats. They're just kind of normal gym mats that are kind of puzzles, and they attach to each other. So it's super nice to walk on, to roll on the floor. I really love it. Okay, so opposite my digital workspace, and I work standing, so I built this little table so it's customized to my height. And then I have a secret compartment underneath, kind of inspired by sailboats, where you have the navigational table that opens up. So if we turn around, there's my whiteboard, and I really love working with whiteboards, so this is quite an essential aspect of my work as well. Beneath there is a shelf. I used to keep stuff there before the whiteboard came in, but now of course it doesn't make sense because I don't have easy access to it. My toiletries and oils and things like this are here. Some candles, a speaker, a crate for my cat, which is soon gonna be traveling with me, so I needed to acquire this new thing. Yeah, there's some other candles, a little instrument I've made, things like this. Now, there is also a food section, and this is actually a part that is working the least in the cabin. So I would actually prefer not to have food in the cabin. because yeah, I don't have water, so washing dishes here is also not super easy, and also keeping food here means I usually buy food in bulk, and then it's quite a lot of storage, which is not ideal. But I have a very basic kitchen setup, and I have my kind of big gas stove in the building, which is 2 minutes away. And there is water and sink and all things like this. So really, what I make here is breakfast, which is usually either fruits or oats. I have also a blender, like a big kind of a blending machine that is here, but now I moved it to a friend's place for a day. I have my kettle to have some tea, water. I don't have water here, so I always need to bring filter water from another place, which is not very far. And then I just kind of store extra bottles here. And now there's always this functional crate here, which is basically stuff to be taken away. So now I have 2 empty bottles to leave from here and some other stuff. And yeah, my food storage is underneath. I have also some cat food, some yerba mate, things like this. But right now, when I organize my kitchen, I really just have my teas here, some spices that I also use for like porridges and smoothies and stuff, and water and fruits basically, and some porridge, oats, dates, this kind of stuff. And yeah, my very basic cooking supplies. So a knife, cutting board, some bowls, some cups. It's super basic, but this is really what I need. Again, the view is just crazy. And this is kind of, let's say, more functional section. So on top I have tools, basic tools that I use to work with the cabin. So it's the drill, screwdrivers, different kinds of screws, measurement tape, and a saw. And there's different kinds of screwdrivers and stuff like this. Aha, the cat made its return. Hello, Kiki. Here is kind of the section where I enter the cabin. This is where I go first. So I don't want to bring mud or shit like this to my cabin. So I have this little white papers here. Brown paper bags. I leave my shoes over here. If I have a backpack, I can hang it here. If I have a jacket, I can hang it here. My keys go here, and then I have a remote control for the light. You probably won't see much. I will. So this is like a LED light where you can control the color, which I really love. Some maps that I got in Lisbon from a beautiful person. I really love it. I love them here. And this is kind of my woolen layers and fleeces and an extra hat when it's cold and things like this. And then trash bin. So it's just a cardboard box where I put non-organic stuff. Organic things go here. And then I put them in a compost. And then behind, this is always a little bit of a mess. I have storage of wood. I have a brooms to broom stuff inside. There's some extra tools in the back behind. Another backpack. My yoga mat, laundry bag with things that need to be cleaned. So it's this section is always a little bit of a mess. I never figured out how to organize it better. And also the wood is inside because very often there's lots of rain outside, so this is the best place to store stuff. I also have a storage underneath. So those are so-called hurricane planks. So if there would be like a super strong wind, I can put them in front of the cabin to protect the windows. And then there's more wood storage, and I can store stuff underneath the cabin. But this is not really ideal because things still get wet. And I have a very basic rain collection system. So the rain from the roof goes into the bucket there, so I can still have some rainwater here if I need it. What else? There's a little line here that I use. I used to have a curtain, so if it's very sunny, I can just put a little curtain to have some shade and to be able to work. And of course, I have my hammock, which is one of the best things in the world. I just do this, and here's my hammock, and I spend actually quite a lot of time here. either on calls or writing or reading. And first, hammocks are amazing, and second, this one, the view is really quite something. So I guess you understand why I enjoy it. And yeah, it's very simple. It's, you know, not a perfect structure. It's small. For long-term living for one person, it's okay. It still could use some extra work. What I would do is I would sand all and varnish all the wood inside. This is quite a bit of work, but basically what happens, there's quite a bit of wood dust. Hello, Kiki. Walking on my table. I thought this is against the rules. Yeah, so there's quite some wood dust falling, and every day I need to brush it, basically, which is not great. So if I would be staying here for longer, I would probably do it at some point, or when I'm gonna be building one of these for myself, I would most likely do it. Its building is not insulated, but actually it's not so cold in winter, but this is due to the climate that we have here in Pico. So actually the only, let's say, problem is humidity, and for humidity I have a dehumidifier here, and also I have an electric heater. I used it this year in winter maybe, I don't know, like 15 times, so it's not so much. And my cat is exploring the space underneath the table. Cakes. You get stuck, cutie. Better to come out. Yeah, this is better, I think. So that's it. Little tour. There's not so much space. It's very basic, but it's a very conducive place of creativity. I've felt very creative here. I feel very grounded here. It's very quiet. There's just trees and I can still hear the ocean. Super peaceful place. And yeah, it just has such a good energy to it, and I feel so grateful for a friend of mine who built it and allowed me to stay here. It's really quite something. It's a very, very special place. Ah, what a sneaks though. Oh well, I guess Kiki is communicating that it's time to finish this video. I hope you enjoy it, and maybe one day you want to build your own cabin. Who knows? Sending you a big hug and talk to you soon.